the Venky which is there on set is two different people, because I have never seen you screaming at is like, hey, the comment. I've never seen that never happening anywhere.
Everybody in the school came with the attempt ki like, oh, we are gonna study. I came with that azadi. This is static. Like, nah, thoda. Static, nah. Thoda. Like, why are you going there? My son got beat up. I'm going there to get him back. Like the editor and me are like, कुछ feedback है? नहीं, रख.
Don't give break to the cameraman. I don't ask director whether it's a good take. I go directly to the.
तुम्हारे लिए एक take
और मेरे लिए एक.
मेरे लिए एक.
This is rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Venky Puthran today with us. I would call Venky as a engineer of humor, and he can choreograph chaos very well. Yeah, and he's a person who actually, if any script, anything in the industry wide, if I would say, if a humor script in ad comes, the first name that comes in anybody's mind is Venky, and I'm glad that I have you on the show today.
Thank you.
And the reason why I call this show Beyond the Brief is also because, from a director's point of view, a brief is what you guys make into a final film. Yeah, and it's few words which we started off with, and that came into a real life film, and it's so amazing to see that at the end of the day, because it's not an easy thing to, that it's a journey. I would say it's a complete journey from that few words which we started speaking with, or rather some agency would have briefed you, to seeing it like a real life thing which you are actually having in front of you and watching it. True. So hence it's Beyond the Brief that we are going to talk today, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you
and
so
joining
much
me.
for calling me, man.
Yeah, if I have to recall my first meeting with you, so that's basically for our Porter project. Yeah, and from there we went on to do Prestige project. So overall, what I really liked about your approach was the fact that you are very very quiet, man. I mean, you're the Venky I know off cam, or rather, the stories that you have told me with what you have done in the past, versus if I need to analyze the Venky which is there on set, is two different people, because I have never seen you screaming at is like, hey, the comment. I've never seen that never happening anywhere in the set with you. So, is there anything that you do for the calmness that you bring in,
Not
or you just became that?
I think I just became that. It started off like, okay, when you figure out your passion initially, right, about filming, that all aggression's there, because then you're doing student films also, nobody's acting. I've like hit DPs, I've hit actors. That thing. But I don't think acting kar raha tha, tu bhool gaya hai ye, all that stuff used to happen. But later on, when I started figuring things out, it's again like that short dog theory, right? Like the shorter the dog is, the more it barks for no reason. So it's that same principle. If you keep on barking, nobody's gonna take you seriously.
Correct.
But at the same time, if you're quiet, you listen, you become a much more solution-oriented person, and you're mentally trying to figure out, okay, if this is not happening, how can I go by? Figure out the next thing. The moment I create an issue, right, it's a trickle-down effect. Everybody immediately starts becoming extremely chaotic. And the same problem is, like, the problem is not addressed. But everybody knows what the problem is, but it's still not addressed. It just keeps on going on. You lose the amount of hours that you're going for shoot. And on top of that, somebody else has already paid you
Correct.
to do this.
Absolutely.
So might as well do that gig, walk out and walk out happy.
I'm glad one director is thinking about a producer.
No, it's not about that. But at the same time, I know that I've gotten it. Okay, the script is actually helping me kind of try out new things and stuff like that. I might as well do it. Like, do my prep, ensure that I'll also figure out a crew. And the more quiet you are, the other people also kind of look at you seriously. Then if I shout,
Yeah.
then that seriousness amounts to something. That means ki, like, the other person's got the information and they realized ki, okay,
Absolutely.
I should stop now.
So let's recap the memory and where did it all start and why and all those things.
I think I always knew that I wanted to be a storyteller. I think at least it's like self-proclaimed, but I think I'm a decent liar. So it always kind of like came out from that. Like, I always wanted to do something in the storytelling art form of it. Initially, it was always supposed to be in terms of I always wanted to do comics. And I don't mean ki like those proper like Justice League of America comic strips wherein it's like a book or a graphic novel. I always liked strips. Like, especially like Bombay Times, Midday and all that stuff used to come in. So we used to read all of this and it was great ki like they could tell a narrative within 5 frames.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is something that I want to do. And I used to doodle a lot. So people kind of knew ki like, okay, I'm kind of into this space. While I was doing that, somebody told me about animation. There's a guy in my building who used to like study animation or something on those lines, and he told me, oh, you could do this. So I was like, alright, okay, let me try my hand out in that. And turns out I was decent at it. I was not great. Somehow that work traveled. I think one of the professors there at Mac only kind of like, they used to share a lot of work on these web forums and stuff. And I got a scholarship to go study in the States for game designing.
Amazing.
The moment they said game designing, I was like, ये तो मालूम नहीं क्या है, but मैं video games खेलता है, cool.
चल states जाते हैं.
The moment they said States, I was like, क्या है, भागने का यहाँ से.
जो है देखते हैं उधर जाके.
So again, so I went to the States, started pursuing game designing. The first 2 semesters were really great because it's all an introduction of sorts, right? So they teach you how to draw. I was good at it. They teach you how to conceptualize, great, character sketches, and then basic math. And over there, I was a king of algebra because they're teaching 8th grade maths. जो हम लोग यहाँ पे 8th standard पढ़ रहे हैं, वहाँ पे college में पढ़ा है. I was like, okay, cool. Now I start making friends and all that stuff. Now again, the downside is I was way too young when I went there, 17.
Amazing age.
Everybody in the school came with the attempt ki like, oh, we are going to study. I came with their azadi, like freedom. I'm just going to can do everything that's under my umbrella. And slowly, I think I was still good at, like creating spaces and stuff. But the moment coding came in, I hated every aspect
Depression.
of game design. No, I'm like, because it is serving a massive purpose, and your entire bed of ensuring that a good game comes out is how well you code. And the moment you feel ki like, oh, I suck at that, then how am I going to do the rest? But you forget ki like everything else is also an option. And then you get to meet all these like prominent game designing figures who are like these massive geeks who used to come to school and stuff like that to teach. उन लोग से पूछता हूँ तो उन लोग का भी वही था कि क्या coding है necessary. And then I figured out how their life was. Their life sucked. They're just constantly sitting in front of the computer with other 18 guys. And their idea of a break is to move away from one screen and play on the other screen. So I was like, I can't. I cannot do this. And I cannot live my life just like picking bugs out. So the next day, I'm at my uncle's restaurant. I used to work there. He sees my broken nose, blood, everything. Like dried blood also stays for a while, right? Inside the nose. I'm like, kya hua? I'm like, black eye, white eye. I'm like, nothing. And my cousin opened his mouth like, oh, yesterday we got into a fight here. He called up my mom. Malayali mom, single kid. Next day, सीधा US Embassy. US Embassy में interview में they are like, why are you going there? My son got beat up. I'm going there to get him back. Visa, 10 years. She had a longer visa than me. Came there, picked me up. Next, I think by a week's time, I was back in Bombay. And my mom, at that point, found out this 3-day course at like Mumbai University for films.
Okay.
She's like, at least 3 दिन पिएगा नहीं. He'll go there, he'll learn some crap and he'll be back. So I went there and again started judging everybody. Like, वो क्या मालूम ये वो. And the thing was, the guy who came there to teach us wasn't that great. But his method, I think, was kind of like sorted out. So he's like, okay, this is what a film is. this is what you do, and this is what a shot is, a scene is, and this is how you do a breakdown. I was like, okay, this seems interesting. And then he showed me Bandit Queen, which I had never seen before. So usme literally while watching the movie, and I was a movie buff before, but I
Yeah.
always watched it
Yeah.
from like a consumer point
Correct.
of view. After he said this, I could not get the breaks in my head. Like,
Correct.
oh, that's a close up. That's a wild. The entire movie, that's the way I saw it. I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And then on top of that, we got like a camcorder and stuff like that to shoot the small basic scene. And I immediately took over because nobody was doing it. I'm like, yeah, main karta hu ye. And I caught the bug. I was like, okay, this is something I can do. Requires no coding. I can talk to human beings and get things done. Sorted. And the tech is understandable. I know for a fact if I start picking up the camera also, there'll be basics of lighting, 3-point lighting and stuff like that. And I can figure. It'll take some time, but I can figure. The moment I came out of that third day, I was like, okay, I need to start looking for longer courses. So I started studying on YouTube, but I think it was a bit vague. So then I started going for these, there was this small course called Digital Academy or something in MIDC. They were doing so the same thing, what they did in 3 days. They were like, okay, we have a
Elaborate
3-month workshop, 3 to 5 month workshop. Come here, we teach you all aspects of filmmaking.
Which is your best filmmaking?
I was like,
learning?
let's go. The moment I walked in, they just started showing us films. तो पहला 2-3 बार मेरे को समझा नहीं मतलब okay you're still watching you were just kind of amazed to know कि like oh there's cinema out there.
Oh, this was a fascinating thing. Huh?
So like the first time you
visual-
see something you're like oh ऐसा भी बनता है क्या films मेरे तो
I
ये
used
देखा
to have full attendance on the day there was a screening.
dude. So I'm like watching I was blown away like and they showed us like great Iranian cinema ये वो सब फिर उन लोगों ने सत्यजीत रे का पापू ट्रिलॉजी लगा मैं मस्त सोया उसमें पूरा समझ ही नहीं आया depressing. I was like, this is not something that I want to do, but I love the art form.
It has those films like Bicycle Thief and Perfume.
Exactly.
These
Dude,
are like
dude.
these are like
immediately you're just
amazing.
kind of in, right?
Yeah.
And you know the narrative. I hated the ones which are abstract and metaphorical. नहीं हो पाएगा मेरे से, but you give me a story like Bicycle Thieves or like Cinema Paradiso or something on those lines, I'm there. You know,
Yeah.
it feels like a slice of life, but they've managed to do it in such an articulate form that you felt like studying it. Like it was it like, and then it became a thing. Like I think I watched Cinema Paradiso back to back 10 times. And my
Nice.
entire binder was full with just notes. Ki like, oh, this is
Yeah,
how
I mean
you do it, this is how you do it.
it's at least there's a lot happening in that
Yes.
film. Yeah.
And then they started teaching us techniques. Ki like,
Yeah.
then next thing you know, like this is how you write a screen. This is what you write a screenplay on. I was like, this I can do.
Now I know my field.
This
Now I
can
got
do.
my field right.
This I can do. And then they start teaching you editing. I'm like, this I can do. And then you started figuring out, ki like, oh, every aspect of this I can manage by myself. Like, even if you pull me aside the next day and tell me to like gun on my head, make a film, I can. It might not be a great film, but I know for a fact that
Yeah,
I
of
can
course.
execute all of it. And I just spiraled into filmmaking. The moment that happened, और हम लोग का भी एक प्रोफेसर मिल गया था तन्मय अग्रवाल करके. So he used to give us that, like he was literally the Robin Williams and Good Will Hunting for me. I walked in, I'm like, okay, sir, ये, and I'm telling him ideas, this is what I want to make, ये करना है, ये करना है. And he used to come up with like a simple answer, like, कभी चाय बना है? Like, नहीं. तो चाय बनाने नहीं आता, film कैसे बनाएगा? I was like, no clue what that means. I was so amazed, like, fuck. भी चाय बनाना सीख. And literally, like for the next 3 days, I was just making tea and all that shit. I'm like, yes, point तो कुछ तो बोल. He meant it with a different intent, but I took it in some places.
चाय बना.
चाय बनाएगा मैं. Immediately, but nobody thought me कि like इससे पैसा भी बन सकता है. तो मेरे को वो मालूम नहीं था how did the industry survive. I just knew कि like I know all of this.
Yeah.
And then I met a couple of people who were like, oh, I've become an assistant director in this so-and-so film. I'm like, ये कैसे किया तूने? It was like, oh, like, you know, like you go to these production houses and stuff like that. Like, okay. And in my class, there were like a couple of people I thought were like, yeah, they were taking it easy. उन लोग आया hobby के लिए. And they got a job. I was like, fuck. तुम लोग कैसे मिला?
ये
तुम लोग का
होता है,
script. I was like, हाँ, तुम लोग का स्क्रिप्ट मैं लिख रहा था. देखो कैसा
ये ना ये मतलब हम साथ में फिल्म शूट करते हैं, साथ में शॉर्ट फिल्म शूट करते हैं, सडनली ना एक एडी बन जाते हैं. जो तू एडी बन गया.
And that ego drive, man, I went ballistic. So in the period while this was happening, my mom realized, oh, he's not going back. I think Ugly was being shot at the same time in the space that I was living in, that MIDC wala road. Walked in, saw like 3 people not doing their jobs. Like it felt like they were lazy. तो कोई line producer को बोला, कुछ रहेगा तो बता देना, I'll run around. So me and my flatmate, we became the runners. Those 2 guys lost their job because of us. And then we started walking around like, oh fuck, Anurag Kashyap, ye wo. But we were so scared, we were like, and I was afraid like to go meet people that I was like, enamored by. But my flatmate was like, आगे जाके इनके साथ ही काम करना है ना. I'm gonna talk to them, like अपने swagger में रहेगा. Like, okay, cool. After that, I think I got a job at Bhag Milka Bhag as a temp TA. Stayed there for 3 months, but it was like it was already a pretty formed crew, and it felt like I was the outsider. And I didn't know that there was a job called as a DA. मेरे को लग रहा था इन लोग AD गलत बोल रहे हैं. So I like DA, I'm like, nah, AD. Then I figured out, okay, there's a job called a DA wherein you're literally a glorified PA.
Yeah.
You're just taking notes,
Correct.
being around and everything. You're taking minutes of the meeting, but at the same time, you're in connect with everybody.
Yeah.
Then kaise to karke, somebody told me ki like ads. So I was like, oh yeah. But I always thought the agency made everything.
Yeah.
I had heard about an ad agency, but I never knew about independent ad production houses. So I was like, ये क्या होता है? बोला नहीं production houses ही है, but they make ads for agencies. I was like, ये क्या बना रहा है? I was like, नहीं ये. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go try this out. We hustled our way through like at least all the good production houses like Soda Films, ये वो. But again, they always wanted somebody with experience or with like you're a character. You're
Correct.
doing something on the lines of like basic shit. I was like, ये नहीं. अब अपने को AD बनने का तो AD बनने का. अपन production में नहीं घुसेगा आगे. Then we got like some old Bandra, like one of those lanes. There was this very small office on the ground floor called Bob and Lola Entertainment. Turns out the exam that they gave us was write a treatment note for a specific brand that they were pitching for. And within 2 days, figured out my treatment won without any references. Like, okay, cool, this is great. Like, oh, you get a job. Joined over there, and from that point onwards, never looked back.
Then it's amazing. Yeah.
Then it's just been ADism and all that stuff.
AD,
Just
DA.
like,
No, DA, AD,
DA,
first.
AD, and now then first I suck as a first. I know I can never be a good first because it's all about logistics.
Yeah.
और logistics मेरे को खुद का मेरा ठिकाना नहीं है. तुम लोग शुल्क का क्या figure out करें?
So, do you take it as a disadvantage to you that people are stereotyping you to a humor based script, or is it that okay, fine, I have done and I have marked my space in that, and hence I'm getting these calls. Do you feel good about it?
No, I wasn't upset or anything on those lines. I was happy that I'm getting humor based gigs, but again, it's that thing, right? When you just start freelancing, you want to try out every gig that's available to you. Humor just came in naturally. But I always wanted to make a fashion film. I don't know whether I'm capable of it or not. I think it's more like it's aesthetic oriented and stuff like that. It's different kind of skill set that comes into play. But I always wanted to make like good dramatic films, like the kind of films that we kind of grew up with, whether it be Dhara, whether it be Paperboat or something on those lines. But after a while, I just kind of realized it's good that I'm in this space because I got into this business for the fun of it. I like shooting, I like filming, I like every process of it. If you give me something serious consistently, like back to back, or let's say you give me like just fashion films back, after a point I'll lose my shit. Like, yehi karna ho kya? But I know for a fact with humor, I'm like, yeah, this is something which is natural, but I can get to play around. And if I want to have like a serious moment within that space, I can do it. It's still under my control.
Do you think working with a good actor, or do you think working with a bad actor is a good let's not say call bad actor, sorry for that, let's say non-performing actors, because we
work with Khali. Khali is a non-performer. Khali is just a giant who just mumbles his way through, but he understands the whole process of being filmed.
And that was a really cool shoot. It
was fun. In fact, non-performers will, like, I learned that in my documentary phases, ki everybody wants to tell their story.
I'm sure when we had gone there, the size difference itself was a it's like
But
your
poor
briefing
guy,
your
man.
briefing itself is like this, no?
But the poor guy is going through so much issues now. I'm like, okay, man. It feels awkward now, like because I've shot with him and because I know what kind of issues he has. And then I see him in other commercials where he's been like utilized. I'm like, no, please. But I've realized like his priorities are also pretty like sorted. He like food, go meet new people, say hi, and then sit and chill. He doesn't like sleeping.
I
He
find
just like
his reels
sitting.
very cute. Huh?
Oh, hey. Now some of them are like borderline outlandish, but some of them are really fucking
Like
cute.
there's a reel in which he's taking the flight. He shows everybody. And then he shows the full seat is all three are booked for him. Yeah. Most of your ad films, you don't give break to the cameraman. Yeah. Because
No, the breaks
it's,
are allowed. Giving
like-
breaks is not my problem. It's the first
no,
lady's
so
problem.
he has
okay.
to do a lot of planning because your angles are such. Your opening shot is never like it doesn't start static. So is it that is there a style that you have maintained for yourself, or is it just that you just don't like the camera to be in one place?
No. So some of it is attributed to, of course, like what the script demands and stuff like that, and of course having your own signature. Like I've been known to just use wide lenses now,
Yeah.
which to a certain point has become annoying. Ki, like, "Arey, don't like why? I will shoot with tele lenses if it comes in handy, but abhi meko zarurat nahi pad raha." But again, like most of it is now script oriented. I primarily initially was, of course, like, and mostly it's the DPs only who want to do that.
Yeah.
Ki, like, this is static. Like, nah, thoda. Static, nah. Thoda. The entire conversation for like 20 minutes is just like, thoda. I was like, I'll do a digital tracking if I. Thoda. I'm like, okay, cool. So, some of it, I think it came from me losing that particular argument with the DPs, and then they had to, they got what they wanted. But now I think I'm more focused on, I've always liked this about framing in certain manners. It's like the whole mise-en-scene blocking of it all.
Yeah.
Like Bong Joon-ho does it well, Priyadarshan does it well.
Yeah.
Ki like there's no cinema technique per se. It's just one blocked frame, but things.
What's needed for that scene, basically?
Things just happen within that frame, but you will find a joke happening somewhere in the backdrop.
Yeah.
And I've always found that fascinating, so I'm definitely trying to incorporate more. Of
And
that
I
in
also
my
kind
work.
of look at that. Huh?
Exactly.
The hero is doing some shit, but there is
Background,
somebody in the
yeah.
backdrop now who's just come in drinking something.
And it's always those ad-lib movements
Yeah.
that you've not accounted for, which become the funniest part of
Yeah.
the film. So I was like, and again, like Stephen Chow, Priyadarshan, Edgar Wright was purely based on editing, I guess. I just fell in love with his editing style. But Stephen Chow and Priyadarshan do this really well, along with Bong Joon-ho. Like, cameras at one place, there's no cinema technique per se, but the absurdity of what they'll fill in that frame in the backdrop also just makes you laugh. And it's not just one time. The moment you watch it the second time, you'll notice something else. You're like, ye bhi kiya isne.
No, but it's the best part is it's all thought through.
It's all thought of. It's all thought of.
It's not like it just happened. Like the junior actors didn't know that they had to do that, but they were briefed.
Yeah. And it was like something minutely just said to them, ki like, tera flight late ho gaya hai, or whatever it is. Yeah, you're frustrated.
Yeah.
And it's mostly in those cases, like I've realized, I'm glad you brought this up. Like I've always, like, okay, when I do celebrity shoots, I know ki like, in log se to kam time milne wala hai. And you can't get much out of them. They'll, even if they try to do their level best, it'll be based on their performance, not how you want it to be. So the only way you can tackle that is casting certain people who are of a certain caliber, who are playing ancillary roles, and get the most weirdest juniors. और उनको जाके brief करो ये वो सब है, because the celebrity also takes his time to come across. तब तक तुम सबसे बात कर लो. You give everybody something. That frame in it, like there are certain spaces. I think no. There are like 3-4 instances I can't recall now wherein we were dying laughing, not because of what the actor was doing, and the actor thought ki like, wow, मेरे लिए होता क्यों पीछे देख.
Because you know what happens in ad, it's very agency bound, right? Yeah, and every copy is thought through and written.
It's thought through and approved.
And
like
approved by 10 layers of people, yeah. So at the end of the day, the director's freedom to change things around, that's quite limited with respect to that aspect of it. And also that everyone needs to understand, it's a joke. Yeah, it's not dialogue. It's a joke which needs to, if it's told the way it's written today,
Then it's not funny.
it's going to be really flat at the end of the day. And that actor also needs that space. So how do you manage this space? How do you convince them, saying that this is a better way to do it, let's keep this? And how do you get the take that you want out of the actor by convincing everyone? How do you be the referee, getting what you want and satisfying the agency? Because every shot, I know for a fact, that is run through them. Every performance, over a period of time, I feel that I don't ask director whether it's a good take. I go directly to the agency head and
everyone
ask,
just looks to
take
the
is
right.
okay, take is fine. Yeah. So
No, so the problem is, okay, I think it's... So wait, but again, this initially comes like, so after the briefing's done, my treatment's approved and all of that stuff. Now treatment, a director's note in a treatment note is faff.
Yeah.
You're just faffing. It's later on about how you're visually story.
Yeah.
Like your storyboard say it's what that counts. So okay, this is how I'm seeing it. If the agency kind of likes it, they'll be like, okay, cool, like we'll go this approach. Back in the day, at least when I was starting off, when I didn't have like most of humor oriented reels under my belt, it was तुम्हारे लिए एक take, you will get exactly what you want. Like I'll ensure.
oh, मेरे लिए एक.
मेरे लिए एक. And what I'm gonna put out is my day cut. You'll still get it. Like you might think, and again, humor is so subjective. It's odd in a commercial setting because everybody gets it. The actor gets it, the crew gets it, spot boys get it.
Yeah.
Like, there have been scenes here in like I'm shooting something, the spot boy in the back laughs. I'm like, I got my take.
Yeah.
Moving on. Because if he got it, that means people like him will watch it, love it, khatam, whatever it is. At least they like that particular moment. I know that I've got this and that. The problem happens on the managerial front.
Yeah.
Now, agency also, they know what this script is capable of. And I think they've also racked their head on, and on top of that, I don't blame them also. It's not just writing, right? They have to figure out iska billboards kitna jaane wala hai, ye, wo.
Correct.
So there's a lot more material going on there. And then they, on top of that, are pitching to somebody who are absolutely oblivious of the process.
Correct.
So the entire stage just becomes far much more convoluted to figure out ki, like, what is funny, what's not. Certain spaces, I have, like, we've actually done this with certain people कि ये MD आने वाला है meeting में, उसके सामने हंस दो बस. So while while you're narrating, and I'll narrate the way I want to, but you could see like 7 people going just to sell it to him. अरे बाबा उसको भी है अक्कल. So now that entire process has become easier, wherein now I can go कि like on a scripting stage go, how married are you to this particular thought? Is there any room for me to play around?
Yeah.
They're like, हाँ अभी इसने बोला है तो कुछ ना कुछ तो गड़बड़ हुआ, let's see. And that now has become easy. Back in the day was just about literally ego management.
Correct.
To get what I want.
Referee.
Just playing pure referee. But the beauty is, as you mentioned, it's only on that front. The moment you tell this to an actor, immediately got it. Like, cool. And they are far much more happier to do this particular rendition because nobody has given them that space before.
Correct.
Same thing with DPs, VPs. Everybody just immediately gets the humor. It's just about कि, again, I think it's this weird idea कि मैंने इतने पैसे डाले हैं, अब मेरे को मालूम नहीं funny है कि नहीं है.
Yeah.
अभी तुम decide करो.
No, but who are some of the known actor bunches that you have worked with, like that you had good experiences with?
With actors?
Yeah, like known.
Kanchan Pagare, always, man. I have grown up watching his Rajesh Krishnan based commercials, and I'm like, dude, that guy will give you, every take is a rendition.
I was shocked. So we were shooting with SRK, and he's done Senorita, I think 1,000 times. If somebody wakes him up also and asks him to do Senorita, he will do it. And so my friend was directing, and he's doing a promo in the brand style, adding Senorita twist in it. Yeah. And then he's come in between another shoot and doing this thing. wants to do it better, wants to do
Yeah.
it better, and that's passion, man.
I've figured out this very weird thing,
imagine
like the
so
A-list
many
celebs
years of doing
don't
the
do-
same thing and then asking, and it doesn't matter if it's a new director or sir,
Same.
are you okay with that take? Actually, let's do it one more. Is this okay with you? Actually, let's do it one more.
Weirdly, even like, okay, now no disrespect to anybody, but the thing is, the bigger the star you are,
Yeah.
like let's say Amir, Salman, Shah Rukh,
Yeah.
Amitabh, they are uberly professional. There's a certain, and you start respecting them more. But at the
And
same
you know,
time, all
they
these newfound, like,
They visualize themselves.
yes,
That's the best part. They know
they
how
their
they're
market,
looking.
they
Yeah.
know their brand so well. Ki like, okay, this is what will work. And on top of that, and they're humble also.
Yeah.
Ki like, okay, cool. You want one more first time director?
Correct.
चल ले ले तू भी क्या याद रखेगा. They'll make fun of you,
Yeah.
but the thing is कि like चल ना तू भी क्या याद
Yeah,
रखेगा,
of
and they'll
course.
give you one.
You were chosen in the top 10 directors also of Bombay ad film directors in the Bombay space, and I always feel that when you reach that level, right, you always think of the people who were very important in this journey.
True.
Yeah. So, is there any mentors, or are there any people that you think that have given you the tough lessons or the right lessons in life that has shaped you today? Because you're a self-learned guy, and self-learning does not come like going and standing in set. It needs to be working under somebody.
True. I learned how to become a better director not while directing. It was the process before that kind
Yeah.
of came in, right? But the idea is you get this title like, oh, AD. You can't just stick to that title. You have to do everything under.
Absolutely. I mean,
There have been spaces wherein we are stuck in Himalayas. हम लोग के पास खाली मैगी है, अभी पानी जुगाड़ करके you have to feed the crew.
so production हो गया ना.
Production हो गया. But the idea is like you have to do all those bits that come
Exactly.
under the sun. And the process in itself is so grueling that it humbles you.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize कि तेरे को director बनना है, तो these are the certain things you have to do.
I think TV teaches this lesson, no?
TV documentaries.
Yeah.
I think every process, like even commercials, when I was reading in commercials, like there have been days wherein, because we were like at least in the mid 2000s, but if you, let's say, and I've seen a couple of people also, like straight from film school, they've opened up their production house, ये वो दुनिया भर का.
Which is what I was.
उन लोग का वो हो जाता है, they're blocked into this particular area. This is the only way the films can be done, unless and until you hire outsiders. उन लोग का एक दिमाग में एक set हो
The
जाता है कि
T-shirt says that.
yeah, from school, bro. So the thing is, you like, देखो इंडियन, let's say तुमको डॉली ही चाहिए था पर्टिकुलर शॉट के, डॉली पैंथर चाहिए, बट नहीं मिलने वाला है रेस्ट्रेंट्स उतना. हाउ एल्स कैन यू डू इट? हम लोग ने इतने गरीबी में काम किया हुआ है कि हमको मालूम है कि यामा RX100 को उल्टा घुमाओ.
वो जो ब्लैक क्लॉथ को लेके आओ,
ब्लैक क्लॉथ से लेके आओ. You figured out कि like okay, all you've understood. There are certain people at that point, they just get into a fit कि मेरे को मालूम ही नहीं इसके बिना कैसे लेना है.
Correct.
And that becomes an issue. That is haltering somebody else's, again, that same thing. We are working, unless and until it's a self-budgeted, self-financed space,
Correct.
we're working for somebody else's money.
Yeah.
And for them, that money is, and shooting is not, like, it's not cheap.
Of course.
It takes a like certain amount of money in order to do good aesthetic-oriented work. So you have to respect that also. Otherwise, there are people who just used to go कि like मैंने set रुका दिया आधे 1 घंटे के लिए. like इसमें फायदा किसका हुआ?
Exactly. तेरा भी नहीं हुआ.
Just because you wanted to have that ego kick for a minute, you had that.
No,
but
I've seen a lot of, I mean, a lot of ADs, lot of people who come in these days. Yeah, they like you said, they would have come from a certain background of film school. Maybe would have studied this thing, but ultimately we also did that. I also studied in a film school, everything. But I had to learn under somebody, and that grind is what taught me. Yeah, and if that grind was not there, I feel like I would have every set. I'm telling you, I have this habit of going back to after every shoot and recapping. What did I learn in this shoot? Yeah,
that can only happen when you work in that kind of environment.
So because and be it production or maybe the fuck up of the day that's a new fuck up, right?
I finally came into that nice ratified atmosphere where I don't have to share rooms with the DP anymore.
Oh yeah.
वो तो हमेशा
I
वही
used to
DP और
remember.
ये साथ में
Yeah, I used to have that.
like fuck.
Like AD in the TV days, associate producer, assistant producer,
Yeah.
everything. There was no chance of seeing that you're getting a single room.
Dude.
Yeah. I still remember when the other person go out, I used to feel
Feel
myself. I used to feel myself. This room is mine.
Oh man.
So yeah, and that's those learnings are the best learnings, I would say, man. These lens का नाम, all these things, because reality days में सिर्फ 4 ही लेंस लेके जाता था. इसके अलावा और कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं था ना. तो 70 200 16 35 यही आता था ना. तो it's there even in my back of my head, okay, these lenses, and I understood that that learning with these few lenses,
Dude, the clap ka learning was so important.
Exactly.
Like when you're shooting student films or whatever it is, तुम किधर भी clap दे दो because you didn't focus on it much. Max to max, your professor would be like, you should have done this here. On set, तुम्हारा clap हल्का सा off है पीछे से, at least the time that I was being in it. दूर से 1 सेकंड इसी का चप्पल उड़ के आता था. Satak. Like focus किधर है? Like इधर. But AC's, gaffer team and production design team, they are your film school on set. They will teach you certain things that you had no clue about. I'm like, मैं इतना पैसा भर के ये सीख के.
Correct.
ये करने का था. Like, okay, cool. Like they've taught me how to like roll wires and all that stuff. I'm like
Jugaad, you can learn max Jugaad in Indian art team. Huh? They can go anywhere in the world and survive. And
I've in fact skills that you are not quite sure why you're learning, but it's very important. Like how to sleep with your eyes open. You learn from production guys. Like
I've seen that. कोई आएगा.
हाँ.
एक आँख से सो सकते हैं.
But all this, it just kind of teaches you how to like survive, right? Yeah. It kind of teaches you that environment ki, like, and that's the process where you start loving film even more.
That's exactly why I kept the name for the show also, Beyond the Brief, because the fact that everything, even the first call from me to you for any of the thing is to brief.
True.
Imagine that goes wrong. It's like from there, it's like a chain of sequences that's going to happen, because now I brief you wrong, your first thought has gone wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah. Now if I rebrief you, it's you might not be thinking in that enthusiasm that you actually thought through that
the first iteration is always the one that leaves you with an impact.
Yeah.
Right. So again, like if you brief me wrong, now my process of understanding that brief has gone wrong.
Exactly.
Now this is kind of ventured into a whole other space that nobody's ever thought of.
Correct.
और ये brand के लिए कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा है. But like, dude, but wait, I think the importance of like again talking, using the right words, getting communications, everything, it just comes across from working that grind. Otherwise, any.
All right. So, if you could remake one classic film and make it comedy, which one it would be?
Fuck, never thought of it. Remake completely.
Yeah.
16 December. Dude, that movie had so much potential. At times I sometimes think about it, ki like, treat it like a parody of a spy thriller movie, redub that movie and release it. Keep the same actors, just redub it. Just redub it.
Do you watch bad films?
Oh, yes. I live for bad films. Like, I saw MSG when it came out in theaters. Like, that's how I love. I saw Love Charger.
Well, his imagination, I have to appreciate his imagination is next level, man. The cars he used in it.
Amazing. Like, nobody thinks of that color spectrum.
Yeah.
Nobody ever thinks of this is.
I really wonder the
and
DOP
it's always
who
those
went to the
things.
DI.
Huh?
I really wonder what happened to the DOP who sat in the DI of that.
उसका credits नहीं देखा है. It's all shot by it's somebody else doing it, but सब में उसकी का नाम है. भाई वो I like Badass Ravi Kumar came. I was harassing Himesh Reshamya for at least 2 years on Instagram using. I'll send you that chat details. For 2 years I was just constantly bugging this guy ki, like, when are you releasing? When are you releasing Badass Ravi ko? Because I saw that trailer, it blew my mind. I'm like, aisa bhi kuch ban. And I know, okay, you might definitely have this feeling as well. I think everybody in the room also does. Ki, like, if you understand the basics of filmmaking, you watch a certain film and you go, yeah, मैं भी बना सकता है. And I can do this. And I might not do a better job, but I can do.
Yeah.
Like, the moment I saw Badass Ravi Kumar, I was like, ये नहीं कर सकता हूँ. And that can only happen with geniuses. Like, there are certain movies that I've seen, like John Pierre Jeunet, Amelie दिखने के बाद I was like, no, I can't make this.
No, off late with Malayalam films, I feel that.
Oh,
I
no.
can't make it, man.
I think the thing is there ki, okay, with Malayalam films, it's the other way around. With Malayalam films, with me, it's like, oh, I should have thought of it earlier.
Yeah.
It's like, man, how did I not think of this? But at the same time, their execution is so fucking amazing.
So amazing.
Like Avesham, like, this is something that everybody knows about now, but it's like, I grew up with that environment, like, not in the terms of going to a new city, but finding this one person who will be like, "Arey, मैं इसको जानता है." I've lived, and you see, like, how beautifully that story is stitched. Ki, like, okay, like, I get it why the objective, why you did this, but if you stay there long enough, there are repercussions to this. So, like,
I was lucky enough to have a work with him, and we line produced for Malayam Kunya.
Oh.
Okay, and I won't for a difference, right, bro? So his father was producing it. So he actually thought of the money aspect of things, okay? So he was so humble. So he's like, what if I have to compare, he's like the Akshay Kumar of Kerala. Okay. I called for a single vanity and all those things. Said no, I'll share the vanity and I'm okay with that. I thought I will book a room for him and tried it. No. Lemon tree.
No, because I think I saw this Anurag Kashyap podcast also recently where he was talking about his experiences working down south as an actor.
Yeah.
He's like, it's so sorted because if you're looking at actors and if it's going to be an ensemble piece, you want them to be together so that the chemistry automatically builds up, whether it's hated or whatever it is, but at least you're there together, you figure things out. इधर सबका अलग-अलग vanity ये वो सब है, so everybody is occupied in their own heads.
He was sitting with the DIT guy to watch the footage after shooting to see all the takes which is there. And beat that, matlab he's not even changed. He's sitting with that chaddi only because in the whole film he's wearing he's under the water. He's stuck in the water in the whole. He's stuck because of the entire film he's only wearing that boxer and he's wearing that dirty shirt which he's wearing. That continuity के लिए वो रखा है. Comfortably sitting, walking around with that boxer all around the set.
I like that mindset. That mindset in itself automatically makes the entire process far much more collaborative.
And people also comfortable, right? Matlab, it's like your main guy is so comfortable there in the set, then you are even more comfortable. You spoil that ambience, then you're fucked.
You're gone. And I've realized this. That's why, like, although I've been getting a lot of celebrity shoots, I don't want to jinx that because they pay better. But the thing is, I do not like doing celebrity shoots only for this very reason because they've come with a certain mindset. Yeah. Although they're enthusiasts, they know ki like, okay, but then I have to play a lot more on your character of who you are, what your humor style provides or whatever it is. But the moment I start getting, like, let's say something like Porter, where it's all our guys, you get to see that jamming process happen. ये करके देखो क्या करना
और
खली तो at least खली knows कि I think
इतना ही होगा मेरे से
इतना ही दे पाऊंगा मैं, but तुमको अच्छा लगे तो मैं एक और दे सकता.
So Venky, that was a lot of insight, a lot of laughing. I think my stomach is paining now, and we shared some great time in shoot also, and this is altogether a different shoot that we are doing where I am hosting for a change and where I am in front of the camera, and I think it's a difference for you also because you are always behind the camera like me, and I had a great time. I loved speaking to you, and I learned a lot also from this.
Thank you.
Yeah.